Hey, what is up, y'all? Financial Friday, the first one of 2023. We are here, ready to get it in. Last week we had some difficulties, couldn't make it on, but that's all good because we wanted to rock with you guys, starting with the new year, new topics, new market. Things are getting a little crazy. I'm here, obviously, with my boys, Jeremiah and Glenn. What is up, fellas?
What's up? What's up?
Yo,
What's up,
Cam,
kid?
what's up, man? How are you, man?
Today everything was green for me, so I'm good on that. I was like 9 out of 10, so I'm cool with that. The labor numbers weren't too shabby, but as you know, come Monday, we'll see what really happens.
Got the fingers
Cross
crossed,
fingers.
Seen
man.
that, seen
It's
that fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. It's funny too, because like you know how like all of us talk about how having Yahoo apps on our stuff, and it is funny because like at 6 o'clock in the morning, or which is obviously 9 o'clock on the East Coast, the market's not even open that long. It's like markets are doing great, and I'm like, bruh, I can't. And then like at 1 o'clock East Coast or West Coast time, it's like markets were plunged, and I'm like. I feel like they do that like the penny stock dudes. That's like this thing's gonna run. So like they're trying to get people to go into it. So I think it's funny like every day. I just wait till the end of the day to see what happens.
Yeah, because if you take anything that's speculative, right, in the beginning of the day, like very at the beginning when the market is opening, you're like, okay, yeah. Oh, it gained 6 points, and you're like, oh man, that's not really doing anything, bro. Yeah,
Exactly.
for
I'm
sure.
like, bro, this is not. So anyways, in full fashion, we are gonna pull up the first article of the day. Let me know once you guys can see it.
Cool,
I
cool,
just
cool.
want to I just want to say, as we start off this Friday, I'm super excited about us coming into this new year. Uh, and I'm super excited about number one, Glenn wearing that black shirt because it's slimming. I see Cam over there repping, and so as we come in, we're looking good, we're feeling good, and we're here to actually deliver great information to the public and education, guys, and bringing value above everything else. That's what we're here to do, and so I'm super excited about that. I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
No,
No,
no, no. Appreciate you saying that. You know, what I mean, even though I have the slim fitted button up on.
I know I gotta shave next week. I'm sad about it. Everyone keeps like, "Oh man, look at your beard." I'm like,
But you need the
next week.
savage look. Yeah, because Kim, when you shave, you look super young, bro.
I
So
do.
you
It's
kind
a
of,
baby
yeah,
face. It's all a part of it. Like when I need to have serious conversations, I grow my beard
right.
out because there's like gray that pop. But then like when I'm like, oh, I want to be a kid again, I like.
There we go.
I love it. I
so
love it. Let's get
so
into
the
this, man.
huh?
I said, let's get it into it.
All right. So the first article for today is planning a Roth rollover. Watch out for the 5-year rule. So this is something, and me and Glenn talked about this yesterday, is that a lot of people like Roth IRAs, right? But a lot of people don't know the restrictions that come with it. They hear the good, right? Like, oh, you put into it tax free, you take out of it tax free. But as we know, the government doesn't just give us things to give us things. So this was a good article that really highlights kind of some of the rules when it comes to the withdrawal portions of the Roth IRA, how long you have to wait, and things like that. So, Glenn, in true fashion, we rotate. So, those of you that don't know, we rotate every week on who gets to pick the articles. That way, we all get a chance to kind of do our own research, pull things that we think are important. This week was Glenn's opportunity. So, I'm gonna let Glenn start us out because he picked this article. I think it's a great one, and I want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I appreciate the plug, man. Yeah. So when I seen the title, it stood out to me, number one, and I realized, a lot of people when they talk about retirement vehicles such as 401ks, IRAs, Roths, or whatever, they people know, like you mentioned, people know about the one side of the coin, but they don't know about the other side of the coin. When it talks about kind of the 5-year rule, it's interesting to kind of see that because knowing that you can, while the Roth is a great vehicle, right? It's important to know the fine print, if you will, and essentially anything when it comes to your retirement, right? When it comes to you saving money or investing into anything, I think you need to read the fine print. And with that, when we talk about the 5-year rule, you know, one of the stipulations is that the rules still apply even when you're older than 59 and a half, right, you can actually do some conversions from an IRA into a Roth, but you still must wait the full 5 years before actual withdrawal from anything of the earnings, right? And so anyway, I thought this was interesting because from an education standpoint, I know a lot of people that actually have Roths, but they're not as versed with this 5-year window. So I wanted to kind of highlight that here. What do y'all got? What are your thoughts, each of you, when it comes to the Roth IRAs and the 5-year rule?
As I sit down and I actually look at it, this is great information to have from an educational means. And I'm sorry again, guys.
No, you're good.
You're okay right now.
Oh, it's good. Okay,
But
I'm
just
sorry.
wait.
Oh, I'm okay for now anyway. The reason why this is so important for us to give this education out is because think about it. If you're at a retirement age, or if you're coming into a place to where you're a senior citizen and that you want to move those funds to something that you think is, either tax friendly or it's a tax shelter, and you need to access those funds within the next year or next 2 years or however, whatever, right? This may not be the way for you to move. And it outlists, moving from a traditional or conversion from a traditional to the Roth IRA. And everyone stands by the Roth IRA because they're getting those distributions whenever they want and however they want, right? But like I said, if you're moving in a space to where you may think that you could just move it over, you just opened up the Roth and you think you can just, convert these funds over, roll them over, and then access them within the first 5 years, you're going to be stuck, or you're going to pay a huge penalty, which then it wouldn't even be worth, right, trying to access the money. So these are things that people need to read about. And in most cases, they don't even know that they're going to get penalized. They're like, oh, well, I opened up the Roth, I rolled it over, now I can go touch this money however I want. Yeah, no, not so much. Mm-hmm. So I think this is super important for people to understand, especially our senior citizens. We spoke about, in another live just previously, we were talking about just, senior citizens and reassessing their financial plan. This is great information for them to understand, because what does it say right there? It says, hey, even if you're 59 and a half, but you haven't had the account open longer than 5 years, you still have to pay the penalty. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that people need to understand, because they think that they're getting away free, scot-free. They're not. And, Glenn, when you presented this or posted this to us, bro, I was like, wow, this is phenomenal, because people need to know this and they don't know this. Things change, right? And and so as we're evolving, we need to know more information about the things that we're putting our money into. So this was a great article.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, Glenn.
Appreciate it, man.
Kudos, bro. No, I mean, you guys are right. And then one of the other things about this article I think was good is a lot of people don't know that there are limits to the Roth. And not just contribution limits as far as how much you can put in. You literally can't make over a certain amount of money a year. That people don't. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm gonna get a $200,000 job and I'm a Roth IRA, and I'm like, actually, you cannot. So you might have to readjust that strategy. And that's one of the things, and that's what we like to educate on, is we know about all these different tools that we have, but not enough people know the rules behind them, right? What it is. Everyone knows you get a car loan, but do you know you have to have a good credit score? Do you know that, like, you got to do this, you got to do that? People don't understand a lot of those factors, and that's what we like to talk about.
Yeah. I think when it comes to like really, really helping people through the education lens, like stuff like this is important for them to know. Like Kim, you mentioned about the contributions, or not even just the contributions, but just the limitations itself. And that is important because, when it comes to different markets, right? Whether it's a person filing single or joint, right? There are different limitations regarding that. So, like I said, just from an education standpoint, I thought it was very important, just to kind of highlight as we continue to talk to the folks through the live.
Facts. So our second article as we move on is stock market news. Live update from Yahoo Finance is stocks fall after strong labor market data. So in general, like I said, a lot of my stuff was green, but there were a lot of things that fell. So Glenn, once again, why don't you start us off, brother, about why you chose this article and what you found most valuable about it?
For sure. Yeah, one of the main reasons I chose this article was because a lot of people, when we talk about diversification, or when we talk about, hey, what are you investing your money in? A lot of people say, oh, I invest in stocks or I invest in crypto, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, as we closed out 2022, we were kind of talking about, forecasting projection, inflation, different things like that. Again, I thought this was very important going into the first, second week of the year, to have eyes on what the market is actually doing, and how it's affecting people when it comes to their jobs, when it comes to the labor department itself, and actually having hard data directly from them based off of what the feds are looking at as well. So that was one of the reasons why I chose it. And the other part of it was because I know you guys like numbers. And so I thought it was going to be a great talk.
I love me some numbers, baby.
He can't be over there, oh,
I mean, num 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 num. Rico, what you, bro?
So for me, what this showed is what's strange is that the indicators that you would initially think meant something didn't mean what you thought they meant, right? So you see strong labor, which means what? The unemployment rate nationally was going down, right? You start to see jobs that are initiating in the sectors that you would want to see advancement in. You see, right, jobs being created in those sectors. But then it's kind of it's a little bit tricky, right? Because if you read later on in the article, you see that it says, well, the tech giants themselves, right, which is tech is huge in what people are investing in. Tech was laying people off left and right, right?
Facts.
So what does that do? And I think this also shows a huge thing as a link to what's going on in society, and as it links to socioeconomically our finances, right? What's going on in our the actual socioeconomically, how that actually correlates to your finances. Well, if people are being laid off from these tech giants, what is that telling you? In people's brain, that says that the economy isn't strong, and then the recession, it actually is going to happen, and people start to pull back. Now, on the flip side, remember on the article that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the 10-year Treasury note, though, is doing well. What is that saying? That's saying, okay, people see indicators in working, right, in the workforce. They see that tech is laying people off. Amazon laid off thousands of people, right? You had Microsoft, you had Meta, right? All these people laying people off. And so that tells them, like, okay, I need to pull my money out of the stock market. So stocks do bad, right? And then I'm going to put my money into more stable money. So I think this article was it was like almost, it was a double entendre a little bit, right? It had two different meanings, because you're like, okay, stocks fell, but why did the stocks fall? And it just shows how that there's a direct correlation from what people think, right? And it may not be totally true, but what people think versus, and then how that goes to our finances and how that affects everyone overall.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, and just like you said, it's kind of a double on the thing. So, part of the article says Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said in a note late Wednesday, the company's planned job cuts will now impact at least 18,000 employees, significantly more than previously indicated. Jassy's memo came in after Wall Street Journal reported the news. Shares fell 2.4% on Thursday. And so, what's that?
No. I was about to say, in addition to what you're saying, it's something that really stood out to me in that next paragraph. Because everybody knows Amazon, everybody has that Amazon Prime, and how it talks about Amazon lost roughly 832 billion in market value in 2022, right? And so, from an entrepreneur standpoint, from a CEO's lens, what do you do, right? It's impacting having to lay off employees that you may not want to have to lay off, right? And so in terms that it trickles down to it trickles down to the debt. It trickles down to more folks being in debt, having to figure things out. How am I going to pay my bills, et cetera. But I didn't mean to cut you off, Cam. I just wanted to highlight that as well.
No, you're fine. I mean, that's what we're here for, Glenn. And so the other side of that is, like you said, people are putting more debt. They're having to change jobs. So then it's also, well, I've worked at, say, Amazon for 10 years. Now I don't have a job, and all this money I saved up for retirement, now I got to figure out what to do with it.
Yep.
And so those are those kind of safety nets that we like to talk about between the three of us in our organization is, what are the ways to protect yourself, whether you get laid off or not? You know, too many times I think we bet on our employers to like that they're going to take care of us, and realistically, like they don't care about us. They will replace you. If you died tomorrow, they will replace you after they're done laying people off. When you retire, they give you your watch and send you on your way. And if you can't make it, that's, hey, we gave you your watch though.
I think one of the biggest.
You might not even get that.
You
You
might not
even
get that. I
get
was
a
about to
watch.
say that. I think one of the biggest indicators of something you just said, Cam, which is so true. In 2020, right when we were sitting and looking at the pandemic, and it was as it was unfolding, there were people that were getting pink slips, and they talked about it on social media that their name wasn't even spelled right. They'd been at the company 20 plus years, and the pink slip that they were laid off with, list their severance package and everything, but the pink slip, it didn't have their name spelled correctly.
Mm.
And people, and I know that seems so petty, right, or trivial, but it's telling you just what you said. These companies, they don't care about you. You're a number. It's an ant in the ant hill, right? So it's millions of ants, right? So you're just a worker ant. And so that's fine. And I'm not calling you that. I'm just saying the way people think. Take back your life, right? And that's why we sit here and give this education. And again, let me say this, go and do your due diligence. Talk to your professionals, right? We're in no way telling you this is the things that you should do, but we're just saying go do your due diligence. These articles are out here, and it's telling you, like, look, all these indicators are here. It's talking about Amazon. It's talking about how many employees are going to, right? So, hey, let's be smart, put our money into some place that where if this happens, you're laid off, you still got money, you can still be help take care of your family. So, excellent point, Cam.
Facts. So my buddy Chaz, appreciate you, brother, for hopping in, a fellow coach of mine. So he asked, do you think that this is because Glenn's met Chaz. Do you think that this is because the employees cashed out? Amazon is one of the companies that pays bonuses in stock. Not a bad question to pose. I haven't seen any articles that have said there's a direct correlation between employees cashing out. But I would almost say I feel as though Amazon might have protected themselves in some way with that.
I agree.
Because even though companies, they give those stock bonuses, usually there are restrictions attached to them. There's stipulations, whether it's time served at the company, whether it's when they're allowed to cash those things out, all those types of stipulations. So
and let's be honest, those stock options, major stock options, are going to be given to C-suite executives,
pretty
right?
much.
The majority of those stock options, you might see smaller things, smaller equities that are gained by people that are at the bottom, which are going to be most affected by these unemployment sweeps. But the majority of that stock goes to C-suite people, and they're not getting laid off. I mean, unless something's going crazy, right? But they're still there. So
that's the question. Twitter.
Oh yeah, come on, man! And he's killing my Tesla stock, bro. I've been begging. You know how bad I've been writing Elon. I sent him an @ on Twitter. I'm like, bro, leave it alone. Go back to Tesla and SpaceX. Please leave.
Yeah. So Glenn, I know you know Billy, so I'm gonna let you read this question and then give an answer.
Awesome. Hey, what's up, Billy? That's my guy. If it wasn't for this guy right here, man, I wouldn't even be in the financial industry, right? Wow. And so shout out to him, special shout out to him. That's my guy. But his question is, what's the best option for someone who wants?
Oh, sorry.
Where'd the question go?
Oh, my bad.
What's the best option for someone who wants to invest but does not like the volatility of 401k and individual stocks? So number one, I'll say this. Here's my disclaimer. I am a huge fan of diversifying your portfolio. That's number one. To the actual question, knowing what I know now, I've become a fan of index accounts, right? I think I said this, if not on the Friday previously, on maybe on the podcast, but regarding that question, index annuities, I'm a fan of, and index universal, properly structured index universal life insurance policies. And I say that because, when it comes to, the market dipping, again, you have that 0% floor. However, you can participate in the market gains, and so there's obviously different things, but that's my simple answer to that question. While also saying, like I said, I'm a fan of diversifying my portfolio.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And that's, just what Glenn said. It's all about what's the foundation. I don't think as people and as Americans, whatever, we don't think of our financial situation like we do a house, right? Like a
Mhm.
foundation.
Yep.
We look at it from top down view. We don't look at it from bottom up. So when you're looking at your financials, there is nothing as a silver bullet. There is nothing that is going to get you to where you want to be. Just that. So, and not only that, there is nothing that will uh for the most part keep you 100% safe, except for a few different things, but a lot of people don't know about them. We hear the 10%. I ran some numbers yesterday, and it was with the 23% decline that there was on the market this year, it will take people 30.5% increase in 2023 just to hit even,
Hmm.
based off what the market did this past year. And that's another thing, we're not educated enough on that. So it's all about what's the foundation, so that ultimately when that 23% happens, it's okay, because maybe that's only on 30% of your money, not 100% of it.
Right. Yeah, the drawdown effect is something that people definitely got to make sure that they're looking into. That's what Cam was talking about, right? What you have to earn to get back there. And I think with Billy's, just a little bit on the Billy's question, I think that's a great question. We're not here to blast any type of particular entity, right? There's a place and there's a space for every single entity. The
Facts.
401k has its space. I tell people all the time, take whatever they're putting into, whatever they're matching. You only put in what they're matching you up to. That 100% that they're matching you up to, you do that, and the rest of it goes toward something else, right? So there's a place for everything. But we just want to make sure that, like Kim said, that foundation. When you're building your home, you can't build rooms and homes. You can't build that house without having a strong foundation. That foundation is, guaranteed products that you never have to worry about your. So
The last article for today, I'm excited about this one. This also goes in with our podcast. So we were talking about AI, and I'm so proud of Glenn. And so proprietary advanced AI brain pinpoints where the market is going with up to 87.4 proven accuracy 1 to 3 days before it happens.
This article really stood out to me. So number one, so recently, if you guys are not following the L3 Perspective podcast, definitely follow it. We had a guest on there recently. You can actually find it, the L3 Perspective. His name is Asif, right? And so anyway, I got a lot of insight on AI and machine learning, right? Just during that 30 minutes of conversation, and it was phenomenal. So to actually see this pop up, and then as I was reading it, I think that a lot of people are still behind the curve when we talk about AI, right? When we talk about machine learning, when we talk about what does the future of finances look like, what does the future of life look like, while also embedding AI into it. And so this was a phenomenal article. And like I said, wanted to kind of highlight it, bring it to the stage, because it is game changing, right? Especially to know that if I'm an investor, and there's a AI machine learning out there that I could potentially have as an assist, that's almost is super data driven. And as you guys can see, it talks about how the accuracy of this particular one was up to almost 90% accurate, right?
Bro.
And we're still in the beginning stages of this. So I thought it was only right to bring it to the table, to the people.
As it continues to grow, there's a lot of people that are going to shun away and they run away from having AI involvement. And it's usually a little bit, I would say, the older millennials. No shots at Glenn.
Pew, pew, pew. You leave him alone. He's got his black slim shirt.
Listen, I make these comments. I make these comments at G, and I'm literally like 2 years behind him. So that's not.
I'm the one that's supposed to be making fun of G.
He's the youngest out of all of us.
Experience and wisdom, man.
No, but so even like baby boomers and people like that are not as well versed in technology. If you sit and watch, and this is going to be funny, you sit and watch Terminator, movies like that scare people. So Skynet scares people from actually getting into using AI and understanding how it can actually double, triple, or probably more than that, exponentially help you expand your productivity and the actual return that you're getting inside of the stock market, right? If you have someone that's almost 90%, and this is like first, second generation, right? And so it's only going to get better. It's only going to get more accurate as it learns to study human behavior, right? Because that's probably the piece of the function that takes off that 13%, that about 12 to 13%. That's the part that that human emotion part that you can't program that into an actual AI, but they're learning, right? And just we see it with Google, we see all these different things that are happening, and you learn, like your phone learns you, right? You ever notice how your phone starts to, it's crazy. It'll blow your mind. If you go and look, the things you search, it'll start to come up in your feed on Instagram. I'm not talking trash. I'm just saying it's just actual facts. So that same AI, those algorithms, right, and logarithms, those things come into effect. And if I can look back at stocks, right, base trends on top of what's going on, if I see different inflection points, like, oh, this CEO just did this. He just laid off 10,000 people. Oh, that just like when they laid off 8,000 people, and it blinds them and it says, okay, in 2 to 3 days, this is going to dip. So you need to go ahead and wait till it dips, buy now. Oh, and it's going to go up in a week, right? Things like that. That's AI. And that's the stuff that you want to use. I sent over a list, right? You guys saw that list I sent over. Because Cam, you was like, where did this come from? All those greens. You were like, man, everything's green. So, but taking those lists, and that was from an AI, by the way, Cam. That's the type of stuff that's the stuff that we have to invest in. And this is the stuff that you want to dig deeper into. This article is super interesting, right? Because you want to take these things into effect when you're sitting and you're having your conversation about what to invest in and what to use to help you invest smarter. So, man, I hats off to you again, G. This is a phenomenal article.
Hey, y'all could just keep giving me those hats, man. I'm just kidding.
Boom. You still never told me what the AI was. You have to text me.
Yeah, so I'm not. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't respond to that, but I won't put it out. I ain't gonna front. I'm not gonna put it out just yet. But everything was green. You saw that, right?
Everything was green.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So as we wrap up, gentlemen, what are some of the things I would say you're waiting to see for next week?
As far
as the market, I mean, are we, I know that as of right now, the inflation, the last total of inflation numbers are meant to come out January 12th next week. So that'll be interesting. I mean, we all know it's going to be at least 7-8% average for the last year. But yeah, I mean, just in general, what are some of the things you're watching for next week?
I would say definitely AI for sure. But aside from that,
Attaboy.
The oil and I'm gonna keep my eye on the tech for sure. Definitely for sure. So.
I have my eye on commodities. Commodities are something that they're boring, right? But I'm a boring guy. People say that. I'm the pretty blandest guy you're gonna meet, and that's cool. I'll take that. But I keep my eye on commodities. Yeah. The stuff that's not attractive, but I keep my eye on commodities because they're good indicators. I've sat back and I've looking at the charts, and anytime you see certain movements inside the commodities sector, it's usually about a month and a half to 3 months out that you start to see it in tech and industry. So, I'm going to keep my eyes on the commodities. I want to see where some things are going to move. Raw material costs have been shifting up phenomenally. So like fertilizer companies, things like that, they've actually been doing great in the market. So these are just things to watch. So I'm going to be looking at the commodities. That's what I'm focused on.
Bet. I'm gonna be looking at things that are space related. So I found some stuff. I did some research today, and I found some things. Looked at some charts, looked at some news. There's some interesting partnerships being made out there when it comes to satellite communications, especially through satellite messaging and things of that nature. So some major players. So if you haven't looked into it, satellite messaging, definitely something to just think about because it is part of the future, and that's what I'm looking at as well. So between and as well as the things you guys said, because all those things come into play, right? When you're building satellites, what do you need? Raw materials, commodities, technology.
I mean, people don't get it because Elon's going to do it. And if it's not even just him in his lifetime, his kids or whoever, they'll continue it. You'll be on Mars pretty soon, right? And so when he does that, that's how you're going to communicate. You have to have the satellite technology because you won't be able to, right? It's light years away. You won't be able to speak. You're going to have that. Skype doesn't work like that, right? People are like, oh, Skype's, okay, then let's say Zoom or whatever you got going on. You're going to need those satellites. So good stuff.
Man, Skype had their day. They
did. They
prepped
did.
for 10 years.
They had a long reign. They had a long reign. Good reign. Yeah.
Anyways, hey, I appreciate y'all. This is your Financial Friday. Everyone who tapped in, the comments, Chaz, Billy, we appreciate you. Everybody who's watching, everybody who watched, we will be back every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check out our LinkedIn's, hit us up, let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to hear about. Maybe there's things that we haven't seen, and you think would be a good topic of conversation. But otherwise, we appreciate y'all. Have a good weekend, and we'll see y'all later.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.